Welcome back to the React Room. I'm your boy Dom K. I'm in here solo dolo again today. And today, we're going to review a little baby documentary of G-Dragon. G-Dragon, someone I've always heard about. Always seen here and there. I know he's a big part of K-pop. I'm not going to lie to you and act like I know all of his music or know how he came to prominence. He's just somebody really, really famous that I've always heard about. Again, I want to get into him because, like I said, they say that he's one of the biggest influences in K-pop. So I want to know more about him. I want to learn more about him. And again, like I said, we're going to get into all of these guys, how they came to prominence, how their music influenced the culture, how their music is touching the world, and just where they come from and what their goals are and what they're about, and how can we learn more about these guys. So I'm going to get into the unreal life of G-Dragon and human Kwon Ji-Yong, just so I can get a basis of what they come from and what this is about. So I'm gonna get into this documentary about everything about Korean, and shout out to them, 2.2 million views, and I'm gonna just use this as a guide to learn how these guys grew up. So here we go. G-Dragon, the unreal life of G-Dragon and human Kwon Ji-Yong.
Once picked 50 reasons why Seoul is the world's greatest city. There were more side dishes than the main dish, the Korean wave, the fast internet, and one of them was GD. Today's video is about the GD and the human Kwon Ji-Yong. Born in 1988, GD was able to develop his talent with the help of his mother, who had helped him to do whatever he wanted to do since childhood. Seeing GD, who liked to dance and was full of talent, his mother took him to various auditions. And through this, he appeared in MBC's early childhood education program Popopo at the age of 5 before entering elementary school. He showed off his talent in the show, and despite his young age, GD showed excellent dance skills. Then he received the attention of Rula, a popular dance group in the 1990s. At that time, Rula was planning to bring together child dancers to make Little Rula, and GD participated in it. From then on, GD accompanied them to concerts across the country, and danced in front of countless people when he was only 7 years old. But as time went by, the popularity of the Rula began to wane, and unfortunately the Little Rula was disbanded. 8-year-old GD was shocked when he heard, "There's no Little Rula from tomorrow on," and he declared to his mother that he would never be a singer or dancer again. So, little GD, who was active on TV and on stage, started a normal life like his friends at the school. But his talent didn't let him go. One day his family took him to a ski resort, he entered a dance competition and won first place. And coincidentally, the MC of that competition was Lee Man, the current CEO of SM Entertainment. After seeing GD's talent, Lee Man accepted him as a trainee at SM, and like that he worked as an SM trainee with BoA, SES, and Shinhwa for 5 years. However, in 1990, SM Entertainment did not have a complete system unlike now, so it was not possible to give a clear vision to GD, who was only 8 years old. So GD only went to SM once a month to dance because there was nothing useful to do. But after some time, it happened that GD listened to Wu-Tang Clan music at his friend's house when he turned 10 years old. Shocked and impressed by the never-before-heard hip-hop performance, he discovered his love for hip-hop from there. At that time, hip-hop wasn't popular enough in Korea, so there were only a few places to learn about hip-hop. But thanks to his diligence, he finally found an academy where he could learn freestyle rap. And coincidentally, the academy was also the practice room of the Korean hip-hop group, People Crew. The members of People Crew were amazed by the fact that only a 10-year-old boy did come into the academy to participate in rap. The members loved him a lot, so GD was able to learn rap and hip-hop from them. And after 3 years at 13, he got another great chance. At that time, several hip-hop singers gathered together to release an album called 2001 Korea. And the only 13 years old GD featured the lead song, and even released his own song called G-Dragon. Thus, a 13-year-old GD received a lot of attention as the youngest rapper in Korea, and this event influenced his future a lot. Because after this, he had a meeting with the CEO of YG Entertainment, Yang Han-suk. At that time, there were many hip-hop musicians in YG, so Yang Han-suk immediately contacted his mother as soon as he heard about GD. Later, he recalled his first impression of GD like this. There was a little boy rapping like a pro and I was very surprised to see it. I was wondering how can this kid who is just an elementary school student rap like that and present his facial expressions and style like that.
몇 살이에요?
내 나이 13, 여기는 힙합 더 바이, 힙합 더 바이에서 랩하는 나는 G-Dragon. 여기까지.
여기까지요?
So Yang Han-suk met GD and his mother in person for explaining their vision. However, when his mother went outside for a while, Yang Han-suk said to the 13-year-old GD, "You have to convince your mother that you really want this. Even if you have to cry or scream for it, because no matter what, you have to come to YG." As Yang Han-suk said, GD came home and convinced his mother that he really wanted to join YG with tears in his eyes, and so he was soon able to sign a contract with YG, in which many hip-hop groups worked. After becoming a YG trainee, he had to do every chore for a year, such as cleaning the practice room and running errands for seniors. So that was his schedule at that point. When he got to the studio, he had to clean before and after the practice. This took about an hour, and in between, he could practice for an hour or two before going home. Although he was responsible for all these duties alone, he did not neglect the training. And by the time he was approaching 14, he was also able to take part in a few songs of YG seniors, and therefore gained stage experience in the process. One day he met his new friend at YG, and that was Taeyong. GD and Taeyong, who were the same age, naturally got closer to each other, and they dreamed of having their debut while being trainees. But it wasn't that easy going, someone may think, because both of them not only had to carry out their trainee lives but also their school lives. GD hated prejudice such as singers are empty-headed. That's why GD thought that I should try my best in school just as I work hard as a trainee, and so did Yang Han-suk. In fact, back then, Yang Han-suk wouldn't even let them train if they didn't score more than 80 points on school tests, so GD had no choice but to work hard as a student and trainee. Also, GD had to go through a lot of hard things before his debut. GD and Taeyong were also backup dancers, in case other dancers dropped out, and although they were only trainees, they didn't get much help from the agency. As example, when they went to a concert, they had to go via subway with a huge suitcase. And after their stage performance, they had to go home all by themselves, mixed up with the audience who enjoyed that concert. Because being a trainee was so hard, GD vowed to be successful no matter what. Meanwhile, in YG at the time, there was a system called the indifference system that allowed trainees to develop their skills on their own. Through this system, the trainees had to be assessed once a week without extra lessons in singing or choreography. So as the time passed, one trainee after another started to disappear. In this tough trainee environment, GD and Taeyong worked hard for 6 years to get their debut, and it paid off as YG gradually started talking to them about their debut. However, the company's plan was very different from GD's wishes. Because GD thought they would debut as a hip-hop duo, but the company planned to make them idols. He was very shocked that he would debut as an idol. He wanted to show his own music to people for a long time. That's why debuting as idols who wear the same clothes and make the same choreography was like a death sentence for him. He said he didn't work hard for 6 years to end up debuting as just an idol, but YG Entertainment was too powerful. That's how GD met the 4 new members who would later debut as Big Bang. After 1.5 years of preparation, YG introduced the 6 idols to the world under the name Big Bang. But in reality, it wasn't an official debut but a survival program called Real Documentary Big Bang. Even though GD went through all kinds of hardships for 6 years at YG, Yang Han-suk sent him to a survival program. At that time, Yang Han-suk put enormous pressure on GD with words like, "Kwon Ji-Yong, after 6 years of training, do you really just want to go home?"
지용아, 6년 저거 집에 갈래?
Like this, Yang Han-suk kept putting pressure on GD until he finally made his debut. It may have been tough, but thanks to that hard training, we know GD for who he is. In fact, GD was one of the few idols who was able to write his own songs precisely, because YG regularly gave him homework for a long time. That homework was composing, and he's been doing it since the middle school. In 1 year, he had to write a song per week, then one every 3 days, and eventually, later he could write 1 song per day. Writing songs so regularly for this long time became a natural thing for GD, just like eating. This was for sure a really hard time at YG, but necessary to process until the current GD was born. In 2006, GD finished 5 years of a trainee in SM, 6 years in YG, so 11 years in total, before being able to stand as the leader of Big Bang in public. However, at that time ballad was very popular in Korea, and big idols like TVXQ and Super Junior already dominated the idol market. So, Big Bang didn't get as much attention as expected for the time being. One day, GD sent Yang a solo song that he had been preparing for a long time, and just 5 minutes after sending it, GD received a call. Kwon Ji-Yong, I'm really sorry, but this is the perfect title song for Big Bang, not for your solo. GD was devastated, he couldn't even cry anymore. YG Entertainment had promised him for many years that he could release a solo album, and he thought this was the perfect opportunity. But instead he was disappointed again, and wondered how many years he would have to wait for it. Nevertheless, the 20-year-old GD had no choice but to give up his solo song for the benefit of the group Big Bang. However, nobody realized at that time how much this decision would affect not only GD itself, Big Bang, but the world. The title track of Big Bang's second album, Lies, released in 2007, shook the whole Korea. Back then ballad was still mainstream in Korea, but Big Bang's song changed everything. In the karaoke bars from then on, all the students who didn't even know English sang, I'm sorry but I love you. And Big Bang received a lot of affection with it. Big Bang swept all kinds of music charts in Korea, but GD didn't stop here, and just 3 months later they released Last Farewell to lead the charts again. And this brought Big Bang, the second year in a row since its debut, to the top. In this process, GD once said in an interview that he lost up to 55 kilograms because he couldn't sleep while writing new songs. With a faint smile, he said that the secret of his diet was the pain of creation, and he continued to release another song, Haru Haru, making 2008 the year of Big Bang, just like 2007. However, he did not stop and made a remake from the song Sunset Glow to target more fans. The original masterpiece Sunset Glow has been remade by numerous singers, but the song created by GD was the most popular and loved by all ages. In this way, Big Bang left its name as a group that made a big mark in the K-pop scene in the late 2000s. And YG, one of the many agencies, won the title of the top 3 agencies after Big Bang. At one time, 80% of YG's total income came from Big Bang, and the Big Bang members' military enlistment was considered the biggest risk for YG. And at the center of all this success was GD, who created 3 of the 4 hit songs. But with constant success, stress and pressure, it came as it had to come, depression set in. One of the reasons was that some Korean netizens criticized him severely, stating that most of his songs were plagiarism. In addition, since his debut, he has never been able to rest properly, and the constant working process also on his solo album was a great burden to him. Even Yang Han-suk, known for being strict, admitted, GD's depression symptoms are deeper than expected. When I saw how he was suffering, I was very sorry for everything. So GD stopped all his activities, including his solo album, for a while. Fortunately, GD, who had a month-long break, was able to regain its former brightness and prepared for his coming solo album. Since it was his long-awaited first solo album after all the hardships, he expressed all his emotions in the lyrics, and also the depression he was struggling with. Here are some of the lyrics of the song Gossip Man. In addition to writing and composing the album, he was also involved in all the other work related to it, like the choice of the color, costumes, and much more, and this album was also a great success. Even after 2007, 2008 and 2009, GD's voice still echoed in the streets of Korea. But why did some Koreans hate him so much back then?
Okay. Halfway through, man, I'm going to tell you, man, I got more respect for him than 90% of the rappers I know in the States. Bro, this dude been a fan of hip-hop since he was 7, 8 years old, rapping with rappers since he was 8 years old, on the streets, rapping, showing up to practices. Then he been rapping since 8, then 12 and 13, going to all these different places, getting with an agency, practicing for 11 years. I hate when labels do that. It was better for the group, but you're going to take his best work and give it to the group because you can make more money off of it. That's pretty selfish, but in hindsight, probably was an okay decision because it forced him to become who he is now. Anybody who's struggling with depression, my prayers out to you. I'm glad he's fixed it. It's hard, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is hard. Like, they'll tell you it doesn't go down like this in the States. They train you for maybe a year or two like that, maybe. But other than that, you got to come in ready. Especially in this day and age. Back then, they probably trained you for a year or two. But like 11 years, 10 years, I don't even know how he had the patience. There's no way I could have did that. There's no way I'm training for 11 years, giving up all my best songs, cleaning up everything. And then, there's just no way I can do it. But that's why he'll start. So, man, shout out to him, man. Let's finish this up. This is good. This is really good.
Was it because people couldn't accept that a 20-year-old boy, who debuted less than 3 years ago, wrote and composed a string of national hits? Or because people didn't want to accept his success? His first solo album in a decade was a huge success, but the public criticism was also heavy. Many people suspected he had plagiarized most of his hits. And after Heartbreaker, people were convinced he had plagiarized American hip-hop artist Flo Rida's Right Round. Of course, after some time, even the artist Flo Rida himself stated officially that GD did not plagiarize. But until this, he had to face constant harsh criticism. Actually, 1 month after the release of Heartbreaker, there was a poll with 15,000 people, asking who do you think is the singer that is the most overrated? And GD was voted with a staggering 8,000 votes. Nevertheless, he was busy preparing for his first solo concert. Since this was the first solo concert under his name, he gave his best, and the concert was so perfect that even he himself said, "I have no regrets." But the very next day, criticism was pouring down on him over the internet. With the song Breathe, he wanted to portray himself, a GD who didn't want to wake up from a dream anymore. However, many media outlets misrepresented the performance, accusing him of portraying sexual representation. Of course, the media preferred the fact that the majority of fans present at the concert were teenagers, as the main reason for the harsh criticism. Although he portrayed aspects of happiness and coolness during his performance, the media only reported things that could create headlines. After reading these articles, he thought to himself, "Am I destined to be cursed no matter what I do?" At the same time, fiercely hateful anti-fans launched a call for signatures for GD's resignation from Big Bang, without any reason, going so far as to even launch a campaign for him to commit suicide. Even more cruel things were demanded, which I don't want to mention here out of respect for GD. Now 22 years old GD had worked harder than anyone for his dream, yet the public found harsh criticism, some even going so far as to call for his death.
Yo, man, I don't want to curse, but F them. Who cares? People, let me tell you something about the internet. And I truly hope that some of you guys who are writing this are watching. Go to hell. No one cares. These are keyboard warriors. Let me tell you something, G-Dragon. These are keyboard warriors. These are losers. Losers who don't do anything, who don't work hard, who lazy, who sit on their ass all day and criticize what the greats are doing. None of these guys have any talent other than being a keyboard warrior. They're not happy with themselves and they're mad at your success, so I'm going to get on the internet and talk about you. Because they're losers and they're scum and they're the bottom of the earth. Wishing death upon people, wishing he commits suicide. Kid been working since he was 8 years old for 14 years at the time. You want a kid to commit suicide? Disgusting. You're sick. But I'm glad he didn't listen.
All of this caused his depression to flare up again. At some point, he came to the conclusion that he couldn't do anything right, because no matter how hard he worked, he was always portrayed as a criminal in the end. At that time, he gave an interview once, and it was really sad to listen to his heartbroken words. While others sleep, I write songs, so I hardly sleep. I wonder why some people hate me so much. I'm still young, and I get hurt a lot. I'm doing my best, so I hope you guys like me at least a little bit. Despite this heartbreaking interview, the attacks didn't stop. In July 2011, a shocking article was published about him, accusing him of smoking weed. And here's what happened. After the concert in Japan, GD was drunk at the after party. Someone there gave him a cigarette, so he smoked it, and that was the problem. He was suspended from the charge because he was drunk at the time and admitted it was his fault. In some countries, the use of drugs is punished more severely, and GD was also an idol of teenagers and a symbol of the music industry in Korea at that time. So because of these incidents, the national criticism of him was even harsher, and the media slagged him. Of course, the case cleared up after the circumstances were clarified, and the criticism of him also subsided. But he suffered greatly during this time. Later he said, "I didn't think that I could do music and broadcasting for much longer." A year after the incident, he returned with his new album One of a Kind, and of course the lyrics reflected his feelings. Here are some of the lyrics of the song One of a Kind. Of course, despite public criticism, he never stopped delivering the message he wanted. In 2014, there was an incident at the Mnet Asian Music Awards, MAMA. At the time, GD was invited to perform at the MAMA Awards. GD took the opportunity on stage and showed everyone the real background of the MAMA Awards, because it wasn't about talented artists but only about popularity. Thus, the MAMA Awards were lacking in their meaningfulness. At the same time, his outstanding fashion sense was discovered, and he was invited to numerous fashion shows including Chanel. Chanel even later named him Chanel's global ambassador. From that point on, GD was labeled as a celebrity and artist beyond a musician. But behind all of GD's fame, there was terrible loneliness that people couldn't see. Then in 2015, his lyrics reflected that loneliness. These are the lyrics of the song Loser. From then on, GD gradually began to explore the other side of his great life. After the album's release, he began to expand his career beyond music into art. At the Seoul Museum of Art, he prepared a special exhibition called Peaceminusone Beyond the Stage. But this time he was criticized again, and this time it was the art world. Media started to publish the negative articles about GD. It's a huge product wrapped in art. Public art museums have been mobilized for the strategy of entertainment agencies. What's the point of being inundated with female fans in the art museum, who relegate art to a supporting role? Like in Korean idiom states, back then GD was criticized so much that someone could have said, he was even criticized for breathing. People thought everything was fine with him, because they only saw the powerful and charismatic GD on screen, but it wasn't like that at all. Because behind all the GD facade, there was still a normal human named Kwon Ji-Yong. As in 2015, Big Bang's 340-day world tour began, GD also celebrated the 10th anniversary of his debut. But the hard times he'd been through, all the harsh criticism that haunted him no matter how hard he tried, had already turned him into a human wreck. During a concert, after finishing his part, he simply collapsed backstage. And even in this state, he kept pulling himself together and dutifully completing his role on stage, and such breakdowns were repeated several times. These breakdowns was also due to the murderous schedule of the concerts that continued without a break. But neither his tens of thousands of fans who attended the concerts, nor the members of Big Bang were aware of his situation. As the leader of the group, GD had to keep his composure and preserve the facade. At the same time, however, his depression increased. GD became 30 years old, and he prepared his second solo concert in 4 years with his second solo album. And he showed his feeling again through his song. Next is an excerpt from the song Superstar. Even in the music video, Kwon Ji-Yong now ditched all the glitter, and just performed as himself only with a piano. He started his world tour shortly after the album's release, but he said worrying things at his concerts in Korea. Also during this world tour, he gave a deeper feeling about himself in an interview in Japan. The following is a summary of what he said in his Korean concerts and interviews in Japan. Thanks to you, I'm having a great day. Living like this has been my dream since childhood. It feels good to live in this dream. But sometimes I'm not sure if it's a dream or reality. There are many times when I get confused between reality and dream. I had to go through everything, even the bad experiences, but I had only great experience and a good life as a musician. I think that's why I'm going crazy. I'm lonely. I'm very lonely. Life is just so lonely. I'm in the spotlight, but I feel so lonely. A few days ago, I was looking for a way to relieve stress and I wrote a letter to myself. I'll read it for you. You're doing great. Everything's gonna be fine. You'll make it. But you should take a rest too. Live for you. The world doesn't collapse just because you're not there. Look at the nature. Humans are really small beings. Don't overreact. Let's just hang in there this year. After the 4-month of his world tour, he suddenly turned on his Instagram live streaming. His fans were very surprised because he wasn't the person who loved to do live streamings. And GD said, I came to my house in Korea after a long time after the concert, but there was no one. And I was so lonely, that's why I turned on the live streaming. And the fans who watched the live said this. At the time, GD looked really lonely and anxious. It was really sad to hear that he turned on the live stream on Instagram, because he was feeling lonely even though he was not the live streaming person. At this point, earning money was no longer the main point for him, as the annual copyright fee he is receiving was already over $1 million per year. When he turned 31, he joined the military, but things didn't go smoothly here either. During his military service, he was transferred to a military hospital for ankle treatment. But one soldier recorded everything about GD's tattoos, even his underwear size, and the so-called GD observation diary was posted online. This incident was a massive invasion of privacy and a stalking crime, resulting in severe criticism of the soldier and military force in question. As a superstar, he had to satisfy the public's wishes. But at the same time, his private life was massively invaded, making a normal life almost impossible. After his discharge from the military, he worked with Nike. But apart from his fashion business, there was no news about him for a long time. Of course, after Sunglee was involved in burning Sungate, many people used to say that Big Bang would retire itself. Fortunately, however, GD returned in April 2022, for the first time in 4 years with their new song Still Life with Big Bang. Despite being the first album in 4 years, Still Life has racked up more than 30 million views in just 3 days since its release, showing that so many people are still waiting for it. Even as many people criticized GD, his fans who supported him always said, "Seeing GD reminds me of the saying that geniuses are short-lived. Like the stars we've lost before, it makes me feel terrified that he's going to leave us overnight. I hope he stays strong for a long time." In an interview 9 years earlier, he spoke about his plans for retirement. He said that he was on stage because he wanted to bring good energy to the audience, and when he couldn't emit good energy anymore, he would leave without regret. So it's hard for his longtime fans to say he should come back without a guilty conscience. Because they are aware of how long he's been working hard, and how much he suffered. During the preparation for this video, I only was wishing for him the best and wanted to say, I wish you could be our star again, but what's more important is that you're happy, even if it means you're not coming back to us anymore. The video ends with the sincere hope that the human Kwon Ji-Yong will be happy.
Right. That's why at the beginning I separated the names. You know what I'm saying? Like G-Dragon and the person. You know what I'm saying? Because those are two different people. I love this documentary. This documentary did everything for me, man. I got so much respect for G-Dragon. I probably got more respect for G-Dragon than any K-pop story I've ever heard. All of them. And I didn't heard a lot of good ones, but I think this is number one, man. The dedication, the love, the passion, the work, the criticism. Like, no one knows how hard it is to get criticized every single day of your life. You can't satisfy everybody. I know how tough it is to not be able to have a cigarette, or to not be able to have a drink, or to not be able to live life like every other kid and try things. because everybody wants you to be so perfect because they think you're a role model. And the crazy part is 90% of those punk critics, those punk media critics, and I'm not talking about everybody, I'm talking about all media, Western media, Eastern media, any country media, punks, you go home and smoke cigarettes. Not good. I don't think you should be promoting it, but you go home and smoke cigarettes. You go home and drink. You go home and hit your wives. You go home and attack your kids and do things and no one will ever see because you're a nobody and no one knows you. So no one will ever snitch on you or say anything. But it's not like you don't do it. And it's like these people do these things and then come on camera and then write stuff like they're so holier than thou. I respect you, G-Dragon, more than anybody I know because, bro, like, to deal with all of that long, be working, he's been doing this since he was 8 years old. Like, and to be criticized all the way into your 30s, man, is just nonsense. You got your label taking your best songs, lying to you, pushing you back. You also have your label making you wait a decade to debut, taking your best songs. Now you got media members trying to lie and say you were doing things that you wasn't. They put you on a crazy tour where you don't have time to rest and get your energy back. You're collapsing. Oh man, you know what, man? Shout out to G-Dragon. I'm gonna be reviewing some of your music today. I'm gonna get on there today. You just gained a new fan for life. I heard one song before on the radio, but I remember them saying G-Dragon, but I don't remember it. I'm gonna get into his music because he got a fan. And like I said, man, for all you people out there, you see how hard it takes to work. You gotta work if you want to do something. Even in this channel, I'm busting my ass every day to try to learn, to try to grow, to try to find things. People think stuff like this is easy. It's not easy. I know you guys think it's easy. Oh, you grab a camera, you put the stuff up, man. This stuff costs money. Sets cost money. Editing takes time. It takes hours upon hours to edit these videos. It takes a lot of time and energy to find content that people want to see. It takes time and energy, and people just think you just pop up with it. It's not like that, man. So I understand where he's coming from. I understand everything about him. As someone who played basketball in college, like I always tell people, it was very, very hard. Especially I played professionally overseas, and I've been to a lot of countries. It's hard. It's draining when you feel like you're being criticized for every little thing you do and every little thing you say. And to be able to write his own music, produce his own music, give his best songs to the group, and still be a fashion icon and a rap icon, man, it's just wonderful to see. It's wonderful to hear. And I love it. And it just shows you never judge a book by its cover. Doesn't matter where you're from, it's about where you're going. It doesn't matter how much you know, it's about how much you're learning. It doesn't matter how much you want to do something, but what you take to get to the place that you want to be. So again, man, shout out to G-Dragon. I hope you found peace. I know you put out something recently. I'm going to be reviewing it real soon. Again, one of my favorite stories. You just gained a fan for life. And again, you guys tell me in the comments. I'm about to start getting into G-Dragon music. What should I be listening to? What's something I should be watching for? Is it any music? Is it any documentaries? Because I got an idea what I'm going to do, but I got to go into the comments and get you guys' opinion on your channel. Because this is your channel. This isn't my channel. This is your channel. This is the people's channel. Because I do what the people want. I don't do what I want. If I was doing what I want, I don't think I would have ever discovered any of this. But this is the people's channel, and we're going to do what you guys want. So you guys tell me in the comments, what should I be reacting to from G-Dragon? What should I be looking for? And how do you feel about my reaction? Do you feel like I'm overreacting by defending him so much? Do you feel like this is a part of K-pop culture and is normal? Or do you feel like G-Dragon is one of the biggest survivors you ever seen and one of the best stories? Tell me in the comments below. And remember, subscribe. So again, man, thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and always with love to everybody, whether you're in South Korea, Japan, China, America, Brazil, Indonesia, India, anywhere around the world. We love you, and with love, peace.